Hey friends, some new thoughts today. I'm just here, just me and the high hum of the vacuums at the car wash. This is my little place I go when my daughter's at dance, so this is where I make my videos most days. Anyway, I just got over the flu. I think it was the flu. It was interesting because it was really started in my lungs more and then it went to my head. I had really severe sinus pressure and phlegm and everything. It was very intense, but I'm feeling better today. I would say the worst thing lingering about this sickness was my complete and utter loss of sense of smell and therefore taste. So this is something I definitely talk about in the book that I find to be such a special topic. It's really fascinating, but it really goes to show that there's my cough. When you get sick and you lose your sense of smell, that you cannot taste either, because those things are definitely connected. So yeah, I go into this in the book, but a quick overview is that I call it the palette because I think it's a great word. If you think of an artist's palette, they mix paint, they mix colors on, which they use to paint their canvas. And when you taste something and when you're eating a dish, your olfactory or sense of smell is combining with many other things. It's combining with the 5 tastes that you have on your tongue, and as well as like mouthfeel and the aromas, which are things that are sensed by the olfactory receptors. So all those things mix in your brain to create the sense, to create what you experience as taste in a food. And I just think that's so cool, because when we talk about taste, or like when I started to learn about it, you hear people talking about, or resources talking about, the 5 tastes on the tongue. That's what they're going to go to right away. And while those things are, of course, real and true, and you can pick them out when you're eating your food, just for reference, the 5 tastes are sweet, sour, bitter, salty, and umami. Is that all of them? I don't know. I still have brain fog. If I mess that up, I'll put it below. But yeah, what I discovered with this problem after my flu kind of resolved, and I still couldn't smell anything, when I first noticed it, you know, for one, when I was sick, I was kind of too out of it to even notice. I just had a lot of brain fog, but I was feeling a little better, and I keep rose essential oil on my nightstand, and I love to smell it before I go to bed. So I took it out and I smelled it, and I thought, is this thing empty? I shook it, and I was like, no, it's pretty much full. It was like a new one. And I had this thing right up to my nose, and I smelled nothing. And when I say nothing, I mean like not even like a small smell, not even like a little glimmer of a smell. There was nothing there. And I like got my lavender wand. I have this cool lavender wand from France. It's amazing. They like harvest the lavender in the summer, and it's so fragrant and beautiful. And they take many sticks of the lavender, so they keep it on the stick, and they wind it around with lace into this beautiful wand, and it's extremely fragrant. I had just gotten it last summer from the harvest, and it's supposed to last for like several years, and I knew for sure it was still fragrant, and I put that right up to my nose, and nothing. No smell. This has never happened to me. I'm sorry if this has happened to you and you're like, whatever, like get over it, but I was fascinated because this has never happened to me. I've had flus, and I've gotten head colds and everything, and maybe my sense of smell has been like diminished somewhat, but to be nil is new for me. So of course I'm terrified over here. Like, how am I supposed to test recipes when I can't taste anything? It's like being blind. It's like being handicapped. It's very weird. But anyway, I just want to say, like, I realized this last night, and then today when I had some soup, I was like, let's eat this soup. And since it was actually a sad experience because I couldn't taste anything, I made it into like a little fun experiment. So the soup was chicken broth that I had salted, and it had some red dates in it for sweetness. So it had the salty, it had the sweetness from the dates, and carrots. And chicken broth, if it's long cooked, is inherently kind of umami, so there's that other sense of taste. And I wouldn't say there was anything sour in there. I didn't put anything like fermented or anything. And then there was some rosemary in there, some whole sprigs of rosemary for bitterness. And so when I chomped on the rosemary, didn't taste rosemary at all. The distinctive like flavor that you know of rosemary when you smell it, I didn't have any of that, but I could taste bitterness on my tongue. I could taste salt that I added. I couldn't taste the distinctive chicken taste. If you make a good chicken bone broth, it should be kind of reminiscent of like a fried chicken flavor, kind of that yummy fried chicken flavor. None of that, no chicken flavor. And I could taste the sweetness from the dates and the carrots. And that was my eating experience, and it was pretty boring. I'm not gonna lie. It was, like I said, it was a sad dish, a sad meal, because I couldn't taste much. But it really goes to show how much the aroma is involved in eating food. And yeah, I just thought that was so cool, because it was like, I'm thinking, well, we're always talking about the 5 tastes on the tongue, like when we talk about foods and things like that, but aroma is acknowledged, but I just don't think it's ever really like at the forefront of what is really important when you're eating. I would say that to me, it's more important, or more, I don't want to say more important, obviously, like it's all part of the palate, but I would say it's more impactful when you're eating. The aromas allow for distinctive flavors to exist. It allows for it because the taste of something like rosemary is distinctive because of its aroma. And within aroma, there are many compounds that pair together to make up that distinctive aroma. So they're in different combinations and amounts within certain foods. And when we say like aromatics, like some cooks will use that word in their recipes, and things like that. And aromatics are usually the more potent food flavorings. That's why they're used. Like dried spices are certainly aromatics. Herbs are aromatics. And then certain vegetables are aromatic. And it's because, I mean, think about like an onion. When you cut it, you can smell that it's an onion. Garlic, you can smell that's garlic. Carrots, I mean, even if you snap a carrot, you can smell it, right? Those are very highly aromatic. And then think of a potato. If you cut a potato and smell it, is there really anything going on there? Not so much, right? So potatoes aren't really considered aromatics. So these more flavorful foods, spices and herbs, they are what give our food such character and such, they allow for associations. They allow for personality in the food. Like if you smell, like I'm just going back to soup because that's me. But if you have made, okay, let me say this. If you've made certain dishes with a certain combination of spices that you typically use, like say you really like garam masala and you use that a lot in your curries, say you really like pho and you're using usually the same blend of spices and the same combinations, and you have cooked these things many times, or even if it's like in your chicken soup, you really always like to put thyme and parsley with lemon, those things are going to start to, used over and over, they're going to start to have their own character to you and their own personality, and you will associate that combination of smells with that dish. So now I'm at the point where, like my daughter, I've said this before, she always wants pho for her broth. If I have broth, she's like, yeah, Mom, I want my pho. And so I'm always going for those spices, and the recipe that I use, the whole spices for the pho that we make, and they're always the same. It's always the same recipe. I just have it on the fridge and I measure them out and toast them. And as soon as I toast them, all I can think about is eating pho. It's just done. It's been done so many times that in my mind I've made the association. And yeah, isn't that just so cool? Because it's fascinating that like food is able to do that for us. But yeah, this was just a little lesson on, for me, in losing my sense of smell and therefore taste, and how I felt very handicapped by it. I felt impaired. And yeah, it's like a God-given right to be able to have that sense. It really is. Without it, the world is much different. I mean, eating happens at least 3 times a day for most people. And my, what a different world without that sense. But I'm thinking it'll return. It's returned a little more today. I was just having some tea at the coffee shop and I was like, ooh, I can taste something there, like besides like the sweetness of the honey that I put in. I was like, there's something there. So they're perking back up, but I'm wondering if anyone has any suggestions on if you've lost your sense of smell. I think some people were losing it with some of these really bad flu strains. I read about sense or taste training or smell training, and basically what you can do is get some stronger like essential oils or just stronger foods that are rich in those smells, like a lemon, you can zest it, get a couple of essential oils like rose, lavender, those strong things, and just go through and like relax and smell them, close your eyes, and it's supposed to help like rebuild those pathways for those smells, so it can speed up the process of like the healing, because there is some, I guess, physical damage or whatever from the inflammation in that area, which is just, it's unfortunate, but it's the normal process of, you know, fighting off these flus and stuff. So yeah, that was just my little fun experiment, trying to see the sunny side or the glass half full of this experience, which was a pretty awful one for a cook, someone like me who, you know, is really depending on my sense of taste for what I'm doing. So yeah, it also made me think of Grant Achatz, I'm not sure on how to pronounce his last name, the head chef, the executive chef of Alinea restaurant in Chicago. He had a tongue cancer, which I think hindered his palate for a time when he was going through treatment. And I think this is his story, because of that experience, he really focused on the aesthetics of his food, and like not just the aesthetic, like how it looked, but the experience. It pushed him into a new way of having people in his restaurant experience the food and the dishes he was making. So if you haven't heard of him, go look him up on YouTube or anywhere on the internet and see what he did. He's really amazing, and again, just someone to learn from, because he took this really, it must have been just extremely challenging illness and direct impact on his profession. And he made it into this, it pushed him into something really innovative and like something that's extremely well known. Obviously he's quite famous now for his restaurant, his success, but yeah, just the ability to be positive and turn something like that into something wonderful, like the whole lemons to lemonade thing. So that's my spiel for today. Bye for now.